While so many people are concerned about their careers coming to an abrupt end due to the advent of new technologies, there are so many careers out there that actually pay quite well. In fact, probably pay a lot better than an office job that are out there, and the candidates are just not there to fill the positions. In fact, the CEO of Ford came out lamenting that he can't fill 5,000 jobs paying over $120,000 per year. And we've got a lot to get into, so let's just get into it. Ladies and gents, welcome back. Hit that like button on the way in. And if you're new here, my name is Clyde. Welcome to the show. The subscribe button is just down below. Go on and hit that before we get into today's story. Let's just start with this poster. This poster was around in high schools for decades, and this was the work smart, not hard poster, because you know what you could do? You could go to college, you could get a degree on about anything, and you could get your job in an office and sit around and eventually get replaced by AI, because what do? You do something that AI can do simply, but don't work hard because you're not going to earn a good living? Well, it turns out that this is actually the opposite. It turns out that there are so many openings for skilled labor jobs out there, whether it's being a mechanic, a plumber, electrician, working assembly lines, tool and die. There's a number of jobs that are out there. In fact, so many that the CEO of Ford is now lamenting. Ford CEO Jim Farley laments he can't fill 5,000 mechanics jobs, paying $120,000 USD per year. We're in trouble in our country, he says. Ford has been unable to fill 5,000 openings for mechanics despite offering a salary of $120,000 USD per year, prompting the company's chief executive to warn of a dire shortage of tradespeople in the United States. We're in trouble in our country. We're not talking about this enough. Ford CEO Jim Farley said on an episode of Office Hours Business Edition podcast published earlier this week. We have over 1 million openings in critical jobs: emergency services, trucking, factory workers, plumbers, electricians, and tradesmen. This has been something that's been the talk of the town for a lot of people, if you're in the right end of town, I guess. Mike Rowe is one of those, and he's been talking about this for years, and he's been saying this. There he is on Sean Hannity's show, talking specifically about this, saying, listen, we've been saying this for a long time. We need to get the young people back into this. Where did it all go wrong? Well, he points it out right here.
For 16 years, as you know, we've been out there with a couple of messages, but the big one was a question. And the question was, has there ever been a more harebrained decision in the history of education than removing shop class from high school? The problems and the unintended consequences that have arisen from that decision are manifest. I can draw a line from taking shop class out to 1.7 trillion in student loans, to sky-high commission, to a widening skills gap, to even the tariffs that we're talking about right now and the manufacturing that we hope to bring back to this country. You know, there are 580,000 open manufacturing jobs right now. I'm hoping the president gets his way. I'm hoping we see massive reshoring, but this idea that there's a giant enthusiastic workforce just waiting for new jobs to appear, that's not true. You know, we've got 7.6 million open jobs right now as we speak, and over 7 million men, able-bodied, sitting out of the workforce. So there are other things revolving around this that are, I think, really important to talk about, but getting shop class back into high school and reinvigorating the skilled trades, that is at the heart of the American dream, at least the way I grew up understanding.
And while it would help a lot if we stopped paying people to stay home, let's just be honest about that. But this is the reality of the situation. We need more skilled labor. We need less people working in offices. We need less people with, some basket weaving degree from some college, some mill, diploma mill that gets you nothing more than a job as a barista at your local Starbucks. This is really what needs to happen. We need more people in the industry. We need more people doing skilled labor jobs, because that is the backbone of the Western world. This is what brought about the everything that we all know about in the Western world. So yeah, maybe sitting behind a computer coding is not going to work out so well. In fact, those jobs are drying up because of the advent of AI. Now, the CEO of Ford was on this podcast just recently, and this is what he had to say. This is the bit where he gets into that specifically.
You have a great deal of respect for the blue collar worker.
I do.
Tell me what's on your mind with that.
In my humble opinion, those jobs made our country what it is. Those hardworking jobs, a whole generation and generations today that go to work every day. I was in Kansas City yesterday. In the summer it's 120 degrees. Do you want to be putting Raptor bumpers on F-150s with 120 degrees? It's hard. Yeah. You and I would leave that job and we would be sore for a week. And they do it every day, 8 to 10 hours a day. It is not easy work. It is really hard. It's tedious, and it's important. And the essential economy, we are in trouble in our country. We are not talking about this enough. We have over 1 million openings in critical jobs: emergency services, trucking, factory workers, plumbers, electricians, and tradesmen. It's a very serious thing. We do not have trade schools. We are not investing in educating a next generation of people like my grandfather, who had nothing, who built a middle-class life and a future for his family. Those jobs are out there. Mechanics in a Ford dealership. As of this morning, we had 5,000 openings. A bay with a lift and tools and no one to work in it.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. $120,000 a job a year. But it takes you 5 years to learn it. Take a diesel out of a Super Duty, it takes a lot of skill. You need to know what you're doing. And God forbid we ever get in a war, Google's not going to be able to make the tanks and the planes. So this is a self-defense for our country issue. But how I think about it is...
Absolutely. This is a self-defense issue for America, because, China does have that manufacturing base. They really do. And if it really came down to a conflict, what won the other wars? What won the big world wars? Well, it was the manufacturing base, really, to churn out tanks, churn out all kinds of things. Now, one way the United States could alleviate this problem in a short order, and for a small amount, would be turn to Canada, entice those skilled tradesmen and whatnot to come over to the United States, because there are so many that would be happy to leave at this very moment because of the way things are indefinite. Like, absolutely. As Canada's economy is in an economic downturn, what do we have here? We have overall inflation. During Biden, it was 4.3%. During Trump, 1.6%. Grocery prices under Biden, 3.8%. Inflation, now it's at 1.4% inflation. Gas prices have actually gone down since Trump has come to office. This is amazing. This would entice a lot of Canadians, as the Canadian economy has dwindled. The chances of ever owning a home are gone. They don't exist. That's over. If you ever wanted to enter the housing market, you're just out of the question. But I would say that, when it comes to the automotive service, well, there is a gatekeeper. There's the Automotive Service Excellence. They're the ones that handle licensing in the United States. Not everybody has to have a license, and if you work for a Ford dealer, for example, things like that, you don't even have to have the ASE certification. But one thing I know is that when you have if you have a ASE Master Tech license in the USA and you move to Canada, you are allowed to challenge the Red Seal exam to get your government license as a mechanic. You can't do it the other way around. Why? Because the ASE exists in Canada. That's the way it works. They want you to go through the entire apprenticeship program themselves. But there could be a fast track with these different companies. For example, Ford Motor Company does a tremendous amount of training. I know that they do all training in-house, but if you're a skilled laborer, this would be a way to do that. But that's not the final solution as was laid out in this. You know, as the Ford CEO says, there are 5,000 open mechanic jobs. Do you think 5,000 mechanics are going to come down from Canada? I doubt it, or even around the world. This needs to be homegrown. In fact, Canada has their own problems of they're absolutely the same problem as I am an automotive service technician in Canada. And I work at a shop where we're not getting a lot of applications. When we get applications, they're not skilled people. They're not people they're not even locals. They're foreigners because we have a huge foreign, well, let's just say we have an influx of foreigners coming into the country, and none of them are particularly skilled as well. The high schools are not churning out skilled laborers. In fact, there are very little opportunities for these young kids in this realm. In fact, when I went to school, there was a trade school across town. There was no trade program in my school, but everyone saw the trade school as the dumb school. This is the culture that we've bred into our culture, into the Western world, is that trades are for dumb people, when in fact, a lot of the trades are sophisticated now, and the people in those trades are making a lot more money than if you went through 4 years to get a degree, spend all that money, and work in an office. So I'd love to leave this one with you guys. What do you think? What do you think about the future of the trades? We've got millions of jobs in the United States that are unfilled and not enough people to fill those jobs, and more coming in. What is the solution? How do we move past this? Leave that one with you guys. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.